and so the biggest lesson there with how I started my career was like, I didn't wait, but I mostly because I didn't have a choice. I needed to make money. But I mean, and a lot of people are in that same position, whether they're divorced or married or whatever. You don't have a choice sometimes. I mean, you could stay in your small, like, very low paying job, and try to make ends meet, or you can take that leap and try to do something that's out of your comfort zone that you just don't think you can do. But you know what? Like, just take that leap. And that's what I encourage people that I mentor to do is like, take the leap. We'll figure it out along the way.
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you. This episode is sponsored by Arrowhead Leadership Consulting. What are your organization's biggest pain points right now? Low EQ leaders, weak managers, toxic culture, high turnover, low engagement, leader development, lagging behind company growth, no company career path. Let us know if your organization needs leadership coaching, workshops, training, or keynotes. Visit arrowhead-leadership.com for more details. Arrowhead-leadership.com. EQ Gangsters, another intro here for another super guest that you're going to hear in just a second. Salwa Emerson. We jumped right into the interview too, and I did not share her background, so I'm going to share her background now. Salwa is well-known to publishers as an author, editor, and ghostwriter, specializing in memoirs, thought leadership books, and book proposals. To hear her clients tell it, she has a way of bringing those stories out of hiding and into the light. She has collaborated with world-renowned chefs, professional athletes, reality TV personalities, Oscar-winning actors, and Pulitzer Prize winners. Before turning to ghostwriting, she worked on the other side of the desk for publishers such as St. Martin's Press and DK Publishing. She is fire. She has so many great insights that she shares, kind of sharing about ghostwriting. I didn't know much, if anything, about ghostwriting, so she really shares kind of her story, her neat story of kind of discovering her superpowers, and shares how she's leveled up her life and her experience. So, Salwa Emerson. Also, definitely want to follow her on LinkedIn as well.
Uh,
It's so great to see you.
I know. It's good to see you too.
Oh my goodness. I have been so excited for this.
Me too, me too. First, I just want to say, your mom is a brilliant woman. She's probably the most gifted person, as far as naming people that I've ever met or have never met still. So I just wanted to give her a nice shout out for giving you the best name on the planet.
That's right. Awesome. No, thank you. That's great. Now and how did you come up with that name?
Oh my God. It was just like one of those things. I was just like, had pregnancy head and just was like throwing names out left and right. And I passed by Barnes and Noble and was like, oh, maybe Noble, maybe this, like maybe spaghetti, maybe, but Noble really stuck. And I mean, thank God he actually lives up to the name. I mean, like,
Wow.
imagine if he were some creep or like some awful person.
Right. Right. That's right.
How ironic. But no, he actually has always, since he was a little boy, been this like very old soul and
Wow.
like really just like kind of had a very noble character, always did the right thing.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't know which came first, the name or the character. Who knows? But
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. And has he enjoyed that name?
he hasn't had an issue with it. My daughter's name is Berlin. She's liked that name a lot. My youngest, his name is Vanner, and Noble actually named Vanner when he was like 6 years old or 5 years old when I was pregnant. And it's just the name he came up with for like an imaginary dragon when he was playing. He's like, my dragon's name is Vanner. And I was like, ooh, that's a cool name. So we just kind of went with it.
Love it.
Banner, though, has a little bit of an issue because people don't get it. They're like, what is it? Banner? Or like we go to Germany because we have a lot of family there, and they're like, oh, it's Verne, which is like Werne, Verne, which
Oh,
is like a very different name from Vanner, but that's how they interpret it.
got it.
Anyway,
Fascinating.
yada
And
yada.
then Salwa, what does that mean?
It's pronounced Selwa,
Salwa, okay.
and it's Arabic. It means
Oh,
constant,
that's
like
right.
comfort, like that kind of thing. So
Okay, okay. Salwa,
yeah,
man, that's so beautiful. That's awesome.
thank
That's
you.
now. Do you speak Arabic?
I don't at all. No, I'm one of
Okay,
well, I have, there are nine of us and only seven of us seven grew up with my dad and my sister and I didn't.
okay,
So my sister and I don't speak Arabic, but all the rest do.
okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
it, got it, got it. But now so you being in Spain, do you speak Spanish?
I do now, but I'm not in Spain anymore. I moved to
Oh, that's right,
London.
London. That's right.
And I didn't really, I knew a little bit of Spanish before I went, and then I spent a year and a half there, and I ended up like really focusing on it. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons I moved there, is I really wanted to learn the language. So the whole time I was there, I didn't make friends with any Americans or any British people, just really just focused on like speaking to natives. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's
that's the best
awesome.
way. And also, as soon as I got off the plane, I switched my phone to Spanish, which I wanted to like it was so hard for the first 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden it got easy, and I just like, it helps you so much to learn when you do everything's in Spanish, your directions, everything. Just
Wow,
that's the little hack that I figured out.
that's amazing. Okay, so oh, I'm so excited. So because well, for a number of reasons. One is I love talking to people that have achieved a degree of mastery in their craft, right?
You're scaring me. Oh my goodness.
Right? And so and clearly you have, and so that's one thing I'm super fascinated about. The second thing is you you are just following you now for, I mean, it hasn't been that long, for a few months, I would say. You are like an adventure in a bottle, right? You are, it just, and how you, so that's two. The third thing is your ability to communicate is just, it is just incredible. And and I don't even care what, that you could be talking about sushi or like, and it's like somehow you're, the creativity that you have and ability to communicate that is like, I mean, and I love sushi, but like if it was something concrete, let's say it's concrete, something I could care less about, but like somehow you have a gift of making concrete like amazing, or you know what I mean? So
Gosh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you.
so so and then I'd say number four is your your zeal for life. You and how, again, obviously I don't know you very well, but like you just seem to have a zeal for life that you try to squeeze every last drop out of anything, like not even just like, oh, just this adventurous, of like something boring, like, hey, I was staring at the wall, and like somehow it's like you make staring at the wall like, holy cow, I never, like some dimension about staring at the wall that I never would have thought about, right? So those are just some up the front, just thank you for who you are and being you loudly and authentically, which I think, right, is one of your, is clearly one of your superpowers. So anyway, thank you. And I totally appreciate you.
You, thank you. I mean, gosh, now I want to just take you home and have you say these things to me all day long.
That's right. I'll be the hype man.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, it's funny. Like people say I'm adventurous. It's not like so much like I'm going out to seek adventure. Like I, I always say this. I'm like, I really just, I love stability. I love like a good, solid life. I don't want to feel like a gypsy, but like somehow that's just what's happened. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. I'm
Right.
moving around here, moving to this country, moving, like, I'm like, but I am a really solid, loyal person. And I think that kind of grounds me a little bit because otherwise, I don't even know how I'd stay sane with all the things that have happened in my
Right. Sure.
life.
Right.
So
Right.
we've had a lot of twists and turns.
Yes. Well, I mean, but like even how you handle the twists and turns. So for the audience, so I know I jumped in immediately because I'm just so excited to chat with Selwa, but like she is a gangster ghostwriter. Like she is a incredible baller author and writer and communicator, and so and I know it's you've got a super fancy bio, but just I mean the bio's dope. So definitely, when we'll get all your details and stuff towards the end, I'll ask you how people connect with you and follow you and find you and stuff and websites and all that kind of stuff. But you have to follow her. Like if you want to add like color to your life and perspective that you wouldn't normally have, definitely follow this awesome lady. Um, the other thing is like I love people that have discovered the gifts and superpowers that God has given them, and you throat punch the world with it, right? Like you like it's like this is who I am, these are my gifts, and I am gonna just absolutely blast the world with it. And it's so as someone who, oh man, so I, I've I've struggled with that. I've imposter syndrome, and man, your post I think it was today, like for your daughter, like I had to help my daughter, like how do I charge, right? Well, that was me. Like you said, oh, dudes don't have to do for your boys. Me,
Yeah.
like I'm terrible at that. Like, oh, just for executive coaching, the guy who first started me coaching, he's like, I want to pay you for coaching me. I'm like, I'm just curious. Like, you don't have to pay me. He's like, no, I'm a businessman. I'm going to pay you for coaching me. I'm like, but I don't, I do this for free. Like, you don't have to pay me, right? He's like, no, Noble. Anyway, so I just, you are awesome. And so many of your gifts, Selma, I,
Thank
you were inspiring. So how did you discover, how and when did you discover this gift that you have to bring to the world?
which gift are you talking about? The just being able to
Like your writing, your communicating, your
well, I mean, the writing was it was kind of out of necessity. I mean, people all my life said I was a great writer, but I never wanted to go into writing. I never thought there was any money in it. I never wanted a career. I'm a very like, believe it or not, a very traditional person. I was married for 23 years. I loved being at home. I homeschooled my kids for a while. Like, I didn't really want a career. Like I just was enjoying what I was doing and I was creative. Like I was definitely very creative at home. I would like cook. I would create like murals on the ceiling sometimes and like do like things like that, like knit things for people and all kinds of stuff. But like my creativity was never like I never tied writing to creativity. I just never put any energy into it even though I once in a while I would, but like just for fun. It wasn't something I thought I could ever like make money out of. And then I got divorced and I didn't have any career. I mean, I had taught English before to high schoolers and middle schoolers, like on and off. Um, that's about it. So I somebody called me up that winter after I got divorced and asked me if I knew anyone who could write a book. And so I was like, yeah, I'll write a book for your dad. And, before I knew it, it just kind of took took off. I mean, I was able to do it, but I mean, I still didn't know what I was doing. So I found someone to mentor me. So, I mean, one of the biggest things I teach is I'm like, don't wait till you know how to do it. If you want to do it, just do it. You can always, always, always find somebody who can help you along the way. So, in a sense, I was getting paid to do a master class in learning how to write a book. Like someone was paying me big, big money while I learned how to do this for them. And it was pretty cool. But I mean, and I still do that today. Like if someone wants me to write a kind of a piece that I've never worked on, like I started writing op-eds a little while ago and I didn't know how to do it, but my best friend knows how to write them like in his sleep. So I'm like, I'll take a job and he'll help me figure that out. And then like, you know what I mean? It's like you can always gather around you the tools and the people to help you. It's a community thing. I mean, I never feel like you can learn in a vacuum or a bubble. So, you know, and so the biggest lesson there with how I started my career was like I didn't wait, but I mostly because I didn't have a choice. I needed to make money. But I mean, and a lot of people are in that same position, whether they're divorced or married or whatever. You don't have a choice sometimes. I mean, you could stay in your small, like, very low paying job, and try to make ends meet, or you can take that leap and try to do something that's out of your comfort zone that you just don't think you can do. But you know what? Like, just take that leap. And that's what I encourage people that I mentor to do is like, take the leap. We'll figure it out along the way.
Okay.
So.
So that's amazing. And I love even just how you think about that is so fascinating to me. That is awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome. I love how you thought about that. Okay. And part of where you're coming from, I get because your personality is very similar to my personality. But there's part of me that it finds part of what you said very hard for me.
Okay.
So I I, I want to be world class at my craft too. So different craft than you have, but for me, it's coaching, right? And executive coaching and work with leaders. Leaders is my jam. If you're a leader, you're my people, right? That's just who God's called me to. But I don't want to be like a middle of the road coach. I want to be a world class coach because I feel like God's given me tons of gifts and I want to be world class. But so here's the but, right? Is like, so I hear you say just leap. For me, when you say leap, there's all kinds of terrified emotions that come up. Like, what if I fail? What if I succeed? That's one that terrifies me is like, well, crap, what if I become a world class coach? Like now, the imposter syndrome, like, oh my gosh, but like, anyway, so you say leap, there's a lot in that little teeny 4-letter word. How do you, how do you do it? How do you help someone? How do you do it? And how do you help someone like take that step?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, one thing I can pinpoint is that a few years ago, I realized something. I realized I used to think that every time somebody paid me a compliment, they were just being nice. They were just being polite. They felt sorry for me. They called me a good writer because I was trying, or they said I was pretty because I was really not, or I don't know, like things that I would hear things all the time, but they would just go, like I would come up with a refute right away in my head. And I made a decision a few years ago to be like, wait a second. No one has to go out of their way to say I'm talented at this or I make them feel great about this or okay, I'm going to now make a decision to believe every good thing somebody tells me. I don't care who's telling me it. I'm just going to believe it. I'm going to take it for face value. And as soon as I started doing that, I started seeing myself the way the world sees me and not the way this little inner critic was seeing me. And I mean, it's funny because you could also do it the other way. You could be like, don't listen to anything anybody says. But like, I was hearing such good things and rejecting them. And instead of rejecting them, I started absorbing them. I started being like, wait a second, this person said I was the smartest person in the room, and he said it twice. So maybe he's right. Or this woman said I made her feel amazing about her parenting. I can do that. I can make people feel amazing about things. Okay. And I just started like kind of repeating back to myself the good things, the good feedback that the world was trying so hard to give me, and I was just rejecting. And as soon as I did that, there was like a switcheroo. Like it was just like, oh my God, I started believing more and more, and you started hearing more and more. And it's like this snowball effect. And so that really built my inner confidence. um, that made a big difference because then it was easier to say yes to things. Because I'm like, oh wait, I am talented at this. This person said that the other day. Okay, I'll try that then. I'll try that route. You know what I mean?
Love it. Love it. Okay.
So that was a little thing I figured out how to do. But
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, so I was listening to your interview with the guy that you posted in the link.
Daniel Paisner, right? I think he's an amazing writer. Yes, I love him.
Okay. So super fun, fascinating interview, and it helped me to kind of so to get in the being of a ghostwriter, right? Of an author, of a writer like you. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, man, there are a lot of similarities between what you do and what I do. Because for me, I want to be, again, a world-class gold miner, right? When I sit down with a leader, I want to be able to mine the gold inside of them that they didn't even know they had. And it
Hmm.
seems like as a ghostwriter, you kind of are doing the same thing. You have
Yes.
to, like, because here you talk two ghostwriters, which is fascinating. It's like you are really, you've got to get inside the heart and head of whoever it is you're writing a book with and for, right?
Yes.
How do you do that well?
Well, one of the things you do is besides listening to them and what they think and what they want. I mean, it sounds a little arrogant, but you really have to put yourself in this place. You have to really understand what they need, whether they see it or not. So, because, as writers, like you're the expert. You're the one who knows how to write a good book. You're the one who knows what goes into a good book. You're the one who knows what readers really, really want. And sometimes somebody has a great book idea, but it's not going to translate well the way they want to execute it or how they want to say something. So you not only have to go in, I mean, it is a lot like parenting. It's like a 360 view you have to have of who you're working with. Not only do you want to see their vision and what they want and their goals. Yes, it's a big part of it, obviously, but you also have to see what's good for them. Like you also have to kind of like be like, okay, no, we can't say it this way because that's going to make you look blank. You know what I mean? Let's do it this way. So and especially when you're working in the celebrity space, which Daniel really, that's where he is now. He only writes for celebrities pretty much. I mean, I'm getting there, but I'm not quite there yet. So, but no, but when you work with people who are really in the public eye, or even people with huge egos, that's like the stakes are higher the higher up you go. It's like you're balancing the big ego with the big public eye, the spotlight on them. And so you've got to, whether they know it or not, you're really managing both those things. So that I think is a key to really being a good ghostwriter. It's the difference between you're not just taking dictation and trying to make it sound nice. Like a lot of people think that that's what it is, and it could be at a very base level. But the higher up you go, and the more kind of bigger ideas you're dealing with, and bigger, the higher the stakes, the more you're going to have to really bring to the table as far as like that view and perspective. Yeah.
How have you had to grow in order to become world class at what you do?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what we were saying about how, first of all, we perceive ourselves. You have to be really confident in the gifts that you have, and I think of it as being generous to others. And I'm sure you've encountered this too. It's like if you get up on stage and you're really nervous and you just like start to freeze up and you have to talk, but it's because you're only thinking about how you're looking and coming across. If you switch that and you're like, oh my God, what are the audience's needs? Who's hurting here? What can I do to help them? What are their pain points? And if you focus on giving, it completely turns it around. Your confidence level goes up. It's not about you anymore. That whole ego wall thing disappears and you're just giving. And that is a very effective thing to do in any area of life. Professionally, personally, if you give, you're never going to lose. So that's kind of my attitude. Like when I get on a call with somebody, maybe they've got a problem I've never dealt with before, but you know what? It doesn't matter because I'm just here to give and we're going to figure this out together. Or it's a client that wants something I've never done before. It's the same thing. It's like just it's the mindset. So
Love it. Brilliant. Love it. Love it. Love it. What what has been one of the hardest things that you have had to work on or work through in your journey to becoming who you are today?
I think patience, because I'm like you. I'm like, I want to be right there at the very top right now. And I'm like, it feels like a very slow grind up that hill sometimes. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Like, I'm gonna keep posting on LinkedIn. I'm gonna keep like, taking these calls that don't really turn into contracts. I'm gonna, you know what I mean, keep working at my craft and get better at the dialogue part or whatever it is that's still a little challenging. And just being patient with myself and being like, and not comparing myself to anyone else. I'm often in an arena where, I'm comparing myself to, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not a feminist per se, but like to men who've been doing this for 30 years, who've been writing, who've been like, they've devoted their careers, their wives were home taking care of the kids, maybe whatever. And I've just jumped in like, less than a decade ago, probably 7 years ago. And I'm like, okay, I want to be as great as you. I want to earn as much as you. I want to, da, 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 da. And I'm like, wait a second. I raised a family. I did this. I did that. Da, 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 da. I was sick. I did all kinds of things in my life before this. So I can't compare myself to this person. You know what I mean? And so to me, it's like being patient, not comparing. Yeah, those are the two
Love
things.
it. What 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 qualities what qualities or attributes does it take to become world class at what you do? You kind of already mentioned one of the things, but I want to kind of
Yeah.
ask a different way and kind of see how you answer this one.
What qualities require you to be world class at what you do? That's a good one. I, I mean, I think consistency, I think, what do you mean by world class? Let's define the terms. Maybe that'll help
Great,
me.
great question. I would say, I mean, and this is a maybe a loose term, but to be able to consistently make a the quality of life and living at doing what you are passionate about with who you want to do it with, I would feel you have reached a skill level that is phenomenal, right? So to consistently earn a living that creates a quality of life that you want to live at, what are the
Mhm.
skills required to operate at that level?
I think, okay, so it does kind of go back to what I originally said too. You have to constantly be learning. You have to be constantly a learner, constantly be interested in acquiring more skills, honing your craft. I feel like things and not look at things you don't know as barriers, but really as opportunities. I mean, like when I started posting on LinkedIn last year, I started talking about ghostwriting. I started talking about publishing, about marketing books. It was very, very niche, like focused on the things I knew. But then I started, you know, people started asking questions about, well, what about book covers? What about this? What about like certain maybe little aspects I didn't necessarily know a lot about, just a little bit. So what would I do? I wouldn't just ignore those comments. I'd be like, oh, that's going to be my next post. And I'd go and find someone on LinkedIn, like maybe a book cover artist, and I'd say, and I'd interview them for 20 minutes and I'd say, I want to do a post about you. And I learned everything I could and then I posted about it. I mean, so to other people, I might look like an expert. I was just like, I just knew a little bit more, maybe, but at least it positioned me to be able to help other people learn more too. And so it's like, I'm learning something, they're learning something, we're growing our skill sets together. And I'm also being generous with that information. I mean, some of the most successful people I know, including Daniel Paisner, the podcast host, I mean, he's super generous with everything. He's always wanting to introduce you to people. And it's just like those kind of people, that energy that they're bringing, they give that generosity to themselves as well. They're patient with themselves. They're eager to learn and keep adding to their own body of knowledge. And I think if you constantly have that learner's mindset, that giver's mindset, it's all about mindset, right? Like that's the whole thing we're talking about. So yeah.
How have you developed that? Have you always been a generous person? Have you always been a learner? Has that been natural for you? Have you had to, have you, how have you developed that?
I know. Well, let's see. I've always been a learner, that's for sure. And I mean, I grew up, my mom was a teacher, so I was always in the classroom. Like that was just like the classroom was my home. I would like sit in the next room while she was teaching classes at the university or whatever it was. And I would always just, that was like my place. So I've always been a learner. I mean, as far as being a giver, that's always something that's challenging for all of us, right? I mean, there are moments where I want to be selfish or maybe I don't want to introduce this person to that person because maybe they'll take over. And you know what I mean? Like, and then I have to think, well, that's ridiculous. Like people are always generous with me. This is how the world works. This is how we're supposed to be with each other. And I always know that when I'm generous, it always just completely comes back to you. I mean, it's total karma. I believe in all of that stuff. So, but I probably the generosity aspect is always a little bit harder. I mean, but I just know I know it works. And if you know something works, you're gonna just keep doing it, I think.
Sure. Right. Right. What makes you unique in the world? And again, I don't know a lot about ghostwriting other
Yeah.
than like you're like the first ninja ghostwriter that I know. And so to for you to be already at such a high level, what makes you unique in the world of ghostwriting? Like what makes you different than this guy that interviewed you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know about Daniel, but I think he's really focused on his craft. I don't think he bothers necessarily and doesn't have to with the people that he works with understand or know a ton about the publishing world and the marketing of the book. What I do with my clients is I come in not just thinking about writing the book, but like, where is this going to be in the marketplace? You know, who's going to publish this? How do we want to do this? For Daniel, like he doesn't have to worry about that. Like publishers usually like call him and say, but they already are on that project. And then he just writes the book. So for me though, I come in with people a little bit like in between and they're looking for a publisher or you know what I mean? They don't know about what it takes to market a book. So I think I bring that, like it's kind of like a triple threat to the table a little bit. Whereas a lot of ghostwriters starting out, I mean, they can't focus on everything, so they're just focusing on writing really. So I think that's why people like to work with me too, because I kind of have that business marketing mindset going on too. I always think like we're kind of like um it's kind of like, you don't want to just be the midwife and help someone give birth and be like, okay, see you later. Like you have to kind of help them figure out what to do with the baby after, like put him in a car seat, nurse him, change the diaper. Like, you know what I mean? You have to give them some instructions for the manuscript after too. So that's kind of what I do is I like to, give them the care throughout the whole process if I can. So,
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
Okay, one thing that you said during the interview that was it was so fascinating. It was so fascinating. You you had this comment, and I don't even remember the question that he asked you, but your response was like, you can tell when you're talking to somebody during your interview process with a potential client. Oh man, you've got two or three books in you. And I thought, what in the world? Like, how how do you what does that even mean? How do you how does somebody know if they have two or three books in them or one book in them? Like, how do you know that?
Well, that's a good question. I don't remember saying that, but okay, let me think. I mean, I guess, well, I think what I meant in that interview was, sometimes people come and they're like, they have too many things going on in their heads. I'm like, you got to just bite off one piece of that mountain for this book, but save those three ideas for the next three books or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. But you can also tell if somebody doesn't have enough in, and that's interesting too. So one of the things I always like to do on discovery calls is kind of, I mean, it's a mutual vetting process, right? I mean, like, so that's something I like to teach other ghostwriters too. Like, it's not necessarily a good match just because they pick you. You have to also know like their work, that you can work with them, that they have enough materials. I mean, I have in the past taken on jobs where I'm like, oh my God, this person has nothing to say. And that's really really hard. It puts you in a very awful position as a ghostwriter because you're kind of making things up or you're scrambling. And I think now, even in this day and age, people are probably tempted to use AI a lot. And I mean, the first job that I did, I worked with, this was before AI, of course, but I was working with the guy that I knew from high school, and he asked me to write a memoir for his dad. And the way he presented it was like, oh my God, my dad has so many great stories of when he came over from Spain and this and that. He's always telling them to us, and I want to capture these in a book for him for Christmas. And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so much fun, blah, blah. And I sit down. I mean, the guy hardly speaks English, had one and a half stories. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, he had no details. I was like, it was like squeezing a dry sponge. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And I mean, luckily his wife was there and I pulled her in, and she had like a photographic memory, and she and I ended up writing the book together, believe it or not. So that was really funny. And then I even pulled in the kids, and I pulled in people from the neighborhood, and like it turned into this whole big book about the West Village and not just about his dad. But I had to get really creative with that project. So I've learned since then to really figure out, okay, who really has a book in them, who doesn't, who has four books in them, it really depends. And then when somebody has four books in them, that can also be challenging, because then it's like getting them to really focus. And here's the thing, this is what I always say, and what I said in that interview too, is like, it's always about the reader. So it's like, you might want to say all these different beautiful things, but like, what is the one message you want your reader to hear? And that's how you can really focus the authors on what they have to say and write.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Um, who is your favorite type of person, target audience to work with?
I would say, I mean, one of my favorite authors I ever worked with was actually last year or 2 years ago, but his book came out last year. When he and I met, I think he was like 24 years old. He super, super ambitious. He wrote The Conservative Environmentalist, and it was endorsed by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was a really big book about bipartisan politics and the environment, and just like creating like a great like a safe space or just bridging the divide for climate change, and just realizing that nature is not partisan is basically what his message was. So he had so much passion. I mean, when we first met, it was instant. It was like he was talking to me, he was getting me excited, and then I don't know. So with him, it was a matter of he was so passionate about what he had to say, but then he also trusted me to do my job well implicitly, like he trusted that. So the two, like we both had such mutual respect for each other that it was very easy to work together. He didn't ask me for credentials. He didn't interview any other ghostwriters. Like he was like, let's work together. I'm like, great. And that was it. And those are the best clients. The clients that kind of are like questioning and asking me to prove myself, those are kind of like that's kind of like a red flag for me. Like this is going to be like every step of the way I'm going to have to show them who I am and that I can do this. So I really like working with people who have that trust, and it's a matter of, I guess, they trust their own instincts, and those are the kind of people I like to work with. So, and
Yeah.
it can be about any topic. It really doesn't have to be about anything in particular. It's not like I like a specific genre or anything. It's just more like that kind of a mindset that the person has.
Yeah, sure. Well, and
Yeah.
very similar to coaching, working with leaders is the I feel like the best relationships, I'm able to bring the best out of somebody that I'm able to establish trust with.
Yes.
And the reality is there are some of us out there based on upbringings and childhoods and whatever life that they don't trust anybody. And
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
very hard to crack that shell and bring the best out of them and find their
Yeah.
gold when they don't let you in, right?
Yeah.
It's tough.
That's
That's great.
true. That's true. I mean, especially if you're writing memoir for people, that sometimes I find it really takes a bunch of times to ask about the same story too. Like, like I'll ask you, okay, so tell me about that time when your mom was drunk and like growing up. I mean, it's therapy. It becomes therapy in a sense, right?
Wow.
And then they'll tell me like some of the basic facts, but then I'll go back and I'll try to write that story and I'll realize this person did not really, like, he wasn't present when he was talking about it with me. You know what I mean? Like he couldn't put himself there because maybe it was too painful, or maybe he didn't trust me enough to tell me some of those details that would really make the story come alive. So then it's like you got to know when to kind of like let something go a little bit, then go back and revisit it. Then so it's a lot like therapy, and you really need that emotional intelligence that I'm sure you need too with coaching, right?
Right, right. So what percentage, okay, this is a fun one. I mean, for me, it's fun. What percentage of time do you know, like, can you predict, like, okay, let's say you've written, and I have no idea, but let's say you've written 100 books just for easy math.
Mhm.
What percentage of time can you predict, okay, out of these 100 books, I know these five or these 10 or these 30 are going to be off the charts. They're going to be gangbusters. Like it's going to be incredible. They're going to hit the market. They're going to be fire. Or is that, or can you not ever predict that? Like,
Here's the thing, you really can't predict it. I always tell people that too. This whole idea of a bestseller it's a total myth. It's a game. It's a matter of connections, but even more importantly, it's a matter of money, believe it or not. I mean, most people buy their way onto bestseller lists in one form or another. You have to have a lot of money for marketing. You have to have, some people spend $500,000 on bulk buying. So they hire companies that hire people to actually go into stores and organically, quote unquote, buy the books up. And I'm telling you, it's a huge thing that goes on, and you have to have a lot of money to really get on these lists. If unless you really have a great book that hits like that's part of the zeitgeist and really like, is speaking to something everybody wants to hear. Even it doesn't even matter if it's well written. See, that's the other thing. I always tell people, I can't write you a bestseller. Like it's a bestseller. It's not like a best written book. So like there are so many bestsellers, I'm sure you know some of them too, that are horribly written. Like I think about like Rich Dad Poor Dad or like one of these, do you know what I mean? Like it's written at like fourth grade reading level. It repeats all the time. It could have been written in 30 pages and it's been stretched out for 200. And I'm like, but it is a freaking bestseller because the guy's a businessman. He probably had money to put behind it. He turned it into a franchise. And I mean, I'm not like poo-pooing just on this particular book, but that's an example of what like it shows that this whole idea of like, books being successful, it could be it could be that, it could be buying your way onto a bestseller list, or even if it's not a bestseller, what makes a book successful? It's marketing, it's hitting the target audience, it's getting represented by the right agent who puts you in touch with the right publisher. It's about whether or not the market's already saturated with books about that. It's about all kinds of things. So I always say it's like writing the book is 10% of the work, and 90% of it, the rest of it is pure marketing. It's knowing who, like the competition, it's all that other stuff. It's crazy. So
Well, it almost sounds like either a lightning strike or a unicorn, right? For the
I
moves
mean,
to
there are things you
align.
can do to like make sure you're doing things right. Like I always tell authors, and I always ask this on the discovery call, I'm like, what's your platform like? Do you have a social media platform? Do you have a following? Do you have an email list? Are you on Substack? Blah, blah, blah. Like I try to figure out like where are people already knowing you and reading you and supporting you, and who's going to buy your book? Like who do you know right now who would buy your book? Because if you want an agent, you're going to have to convince them to. Or even if you don't want an agent, you want to self-publish, you still have to have that. Even more, you have to have that platform. So, I mean, so there are things you can do. I don't want to like sound so discouraging that you can't be successful and it's all like a matter of luck, because it's not, but it's a combination of things. And it's not like my job is only a tiny part of helping you write the book. It's also you getting out there and letting
Yeah.
people know there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's fast fascinating because again, I don't know anything about this world, so it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, what so kind of wrapping up, what is what's the so in you having patience with yourself in your journey, what is the delta between where you're at and where you want to be?
The delta between where that's very poetic. Okay. What do you mean? Like what's in
Like
between?
like
Like
like,
what's
like what's the spread? What's the difference? What is the difference? What do you need? What
mm,
how do you need to grow, change, evolve in your craft and who you are as a person to get where you want to go?
oh my gosh, this is a question I ask myself every freaking day. So it depends on what day you're asking me. Um, I think it goes back to being really patient with myself, like, and seeing, oh my God, you've come so far. Like stop thinking you have to like make these huge leaps and bounds every single like month. Like it's okay if for the past several months, you're just working on this project, you're just doing the same thing, like just keep going and be patient. I think it's also putting myself even like continuing to put myself in situations that are like feel a little over my head. You know what I mean? Like for instance, I'll give you an example. Like Daniel and I we're writing an article together, and we're gonna pitch it to like the Atlantic and all kinds of great publications. Now, was it comfortable for me to ask him? No, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to just end our relationship here on this podcast. I want us to continue. How can we do this? How can I bring value to him? And, how can we work together? So I presented this idea, let's write an article about voice. So that's what we're going to do together. And I feel like that just continuing to kind of like put myself into situations that feel uncomfortable, I think is really important.
Love that. Love that. How does one discover or find their voice?
How does one find their voice? Oh my gosh, this is a whole conversation. We should have started with that. I don't know if we have time for this. Maybe I have to come back. Because I mean, he and I are really talking about this now. We had a call the other day about this, and because what is voice and what do people mean when they say voice? And it's a little bit tricky. I don't know if you listened to that whole thing or if you read maybe a post of mine on Monday. I did a post about voice, but voice is a lot of different things to different people. Maybe I can ask you, what do you understand voice to be?
I would say the essence of who they are.
Mhm. Okay, but are you the same person on every given day in every situation in front of every person?
I, so of course the quick answer is no. The themes I would say are yes. I whether so the okay, let me say it this way, because in fact I just talked about I did an all-day workshop with a group of executives from a big company yesterday. So
Okay,
and I'm very in a group setting, I'm very high energy.
yeah,
In a coaching session, I am not, because I don't want to overwhelm the person that I'm with. So,
yes,
but in terms of who I am the same person in a
yes.
big group or one on one.
Okay, right. But so you contour your voice depending on who you're working with. So do you see what I mean? It's like, does voice have to do with authenticity or does it have to do with intention? That was what my whole kind of little post on LinkedIn was about. And that's what we're going to expand on in this article. It's really interesting. So and you raised such a good question. I don't mean to be difficult in not answering it directly, but it doesn't really it requires like a little like bit of contouring because it's such a big question. So I would say, you asked, how do you get somebody in touch with their voice, like an author, I'm assuming is what you mean. So like the simple answer would be, again, going back to who is your reader? What kind of voice do they need to hear? Because whatever you say is going to be sincere. It's going to come from you. It's authentic. But what kind of voice do you want to have? Do you want to sound authoritative here? Do you want to use humor? Do you want to be vulnerable here? Do you want to whatever? Do you want to be a little bit cantankerous and like, cause a little bit of a stir? So that's what I mean by like we can be different in different situations depending on our intention. And I don't know. I think I don't think people have a problem with voice as much as people think it could. I don't think it's as much of a challenge as maybe other people think. If you give it some thought, it's kind of like, okay, this person is who he is, like you said, no matter what. But let's think about what kind of a voice he needs to use here in this situation. And it can be a lot more direct and straightforward than what we think. When you're trying to get somebody to have the right voice, at least in a book. Um, it's thinking about what the reader needs is
Got it.
my like simple answer. So you
Yeah.
might want to edit all of that blah 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 out because I
Oh
just
no,
went
no.
around in like circles for this. But
I love all that. I no, no, that's great. I love it. No, hearing how you process is super helpful. So that's
okay.
I value that probably as much or more than the conclusion you come to.
Yes. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, that was great. Oh, thank you.
I'm
Okay.
like, no, no.
How do
Um,
you how do we find you? How do we follow you? How do we find you? How do
Well,
you know?
I mean, you can always find me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest
Okay.
way. I have a website. I'm hardly, I mean, like I'm reachable there if you want. I hardly look at that website anymore, but yeah, I would say LinkedIn is like the best way.
Okay. And it's just Salwa. It's
Salwa,
spelled
Salwa, but you
oh
pronounce it S-E-L. Yeah.
yeah, and
And
it's
it's
Emerson.
Emerson. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So and again, I encourage all the folks on YouTube and LinkedIn and social media podcast stuff to follow Selwa, because again, it's just I your creativity is so it's even though if I can't relate to the topic that you're talking about, it's just, man, something about how you communicate is so, it always is either convicting or inspiring or empowering or encouraging or equipping. And so I always leave your post with something.
Oh, thank you.
And
That's
so anyway, so I appreciate you sharing your gift with the rest of us, with the rest of the world. Um, Thank you, Selwa, so much for your time, your insights, your wisdom, and looking forward to continue learning and growing with you and from you.
same here. Thank you, Noble.
Absolutely.